The institutional adoption of Quant is inevitable as more and more connections come up between this altcoin and some of US's largest banks, including Citibank as well as Jpmorgan. You can expect to hear about all of this and more in today's daily market update. Banking giant Citibank announced earlier this week that they debuted deposit and trade services on blockchains for institutional clients. And this is going to be called the Citi Token Services, which will basically allow for instant settlement payments as well as lower transaction fees. The bank is also now using smart contracts to automate the trade process. According to this post and Citibank, it says here they are using a private blockchain for their new services, and whether Citi or a company like it will ever have a use for public blockchains in the future will basically depend on how regulations play out. Now, we spoke about this on the channel in our last video. It appears here that there are some very interesting connections between Citibank and Quant. As it is confirmed, they actually worked with LAC Chain on a cross-border payments proof of concept. So here is a post from Citi's Innovation Lab saying that the IDB deposited funds and denominated in dollars in a Citi account, which were then held, tokenized, and transferred using digital wallets. And this was done and all transparent and checked with the LAC blockchain. Now, this is incredibly relevant when it comes to Quant here because this quote also did come from Marco Lopez, and we can see here that Marco Lopez actually is also one of the technical leaders over at LAC Chain, who is a direct partner of Quant. Okay, so we can actually see here if we go to Quant's platform partners that one of their biggest partners here is LAC Chain. This is the Latin American blockchain, which is basically tapping into the Quant overledger to offer an interoperable infrastructure for easy cross-border payments, fast cross-border payments, and implementing different use cases throughout the region by using tokenized currency. So the LAC chain is using the Quant overledger to connect a ton of different regions in Latin America here using this DLT, and also facilitating complete interoperability of these tokenized assets. And if you want to learn more about LAC chain, you can actually check out their website here, and it has been confirmed they are directly working with Quant. In fact, I believe last time we took a look at LAC chain, they had 12 countries using this chain, which is adopting the Quant overledger. And last I checked, that is now up to 17 countries. So definitely very good for Quant as more and more countries are adopting the LAC chain, which is powered by the Quant overledger. And additionally, one very important thing when it comes to Citibank, as well as Jpmorgan, which we will get into in just a second, is that these banks are not going to be using public blockchains to start off, okay? They are going to be using private blockchains, and that is where the Quant overledger once again becomes very important as a key piece of this technology, is basically the ability to connect both private and public blockchains, allowing for seamless interoperability. So using the Quant overledger, these banks are able to connect their private blockchains to public blockchains such as Ethereum, Avalanche, Polygon, and this is all facilitated here via the Quant overledger, effectively meaning that these banks are going to be able to connect their very own blockchains to public ones in the future. And in my opinion, that really is the future of interoperability, okay? So we can see right here, are you seeking a solution to bridge your private network to public chains? Talk to us about making this a reality. And in relation to the Quant token, as we have discussed previously, the Quant token is effectively the token that powers the overledger technology. So the same way that the XRP ledger is powered by Ripple, well, effectively, this is how the Quant token is used for the Quant overledger. And we can see that right here in the frequently asked questions portion of the website. Quant is a utility token used as a form of payment for Quant services, most notably as a way for overledger users to pay their fees as explained here. Every developer and customer has to purchase a license and can also pay for transactions in Quant. And then it says once again here that they are building enterprise grade products and solutions aimed at financial institutions, governments, and corporates. And the Quant token is an integral part of the platform, used most notably to pay for software licenses and sending transactions. But it is not the focus of their efforts. They're focusing on the underlying technology, and this is fine with me because focus on the underlying technology means greater adoption of the Quant token itself. And additionally, we can see here now that Jpmorgan is a part of the regulated liability network digital currency product. So during a CBOS panel discussion yesterday, this is the big event that Chainlink is at that we spoke about in our previous video. Jpmorgan revealed it is participating in the regulated liability network. And this is a very big deal in my opinion, because if we actually take a look here at this document for the RLN UK discovery phase, it says here, after initial research, the analysis was validated by an information gathering exercise with key technology platforms, and these included Corda, Adhera, Millicent, Quant, POLYGON, and then a couple of other pieces of tech over here. But the big ones, in my opinion, that we are focusing on are Quant and POLYGON, as there are now multiple connections between Quant and some of the biggest banks, not just in the US, but all around the world. We have covered their work with the Bank for International Settlements, the Bank of England, the Bank of Canada, Amazon, MasterCard. I mean, the list just goes on. And this is yet again another connection here that we see between Citibank, Jpmorgan, and Quant. Now, in respect to POLYGON, I do want to talk about this as well, as it is also highlighted here as another blockchain that was explored, and it is worth noting that these banks could very well be using POLYGON for the blockchain, and then using the Quant overledger to actually connect the POLYGON blockchain to their very own private blockchains. So just something to keep in mind, that these two projects can actually work in conjunction. And it was confirmed last year that Jpmorgan Chase & Co. executed their first DeFi trade using Aave via the POLYGON blockchain. So through the trade, Jpmorgan issued 100,000 tokenized Singapore dollars, equivalent to about 71,000 USD, on the POLYGON Layer 2 blockchain using the Aave DeFi protocol. JPM then exchanged the tokenized Singapore dollars for tokenized Japanese yen, with SBI Digital Asset Holdings on the other side of the transaction. They say here today was the first step to show that we can actually trade on these public networks, said Tyrone Lobban, the head of blockchain launch and Onyx Digital Assets at Jpmorgan. Onyx being Jpmorgan's very own private blockchain as well. So clearly Jpmorgan is also very bullish on crypto, despite their CEO making, multiple bearish comments on crypto. Pay attention to what the big money is doing, not what they are saying. And once again, very possible that we could see some connection between Onyx and the POLYGON blockchain via the Quant overledger bridge feature. Now, to wrap things up, I do want to take a look at both the Quant and Matic chart. Take a look at Matic here for starters, okay? Because despite the good news for both Matic and Quant, unfortunately, I do still suspect that we have a little bit more room to the downside in Q4. Regardless of all the good news that has come out, I do still see really weak price action, and personally, I am looking at this as an opportunity and nothing more. So for Matic here, the one thing I'm really looking at is for the potential to fall back to the June 2022 lows here, sitting at about 35 cents. And this does come after we actually saw a pretty big breakdown below a very important area of support at about the 65 cent range, okay? So since we broke down below that level here, the next strong area of support, in my opinion, does not come until about 39 cents, actually, more or less. We wicked down to 35 cents, but we can basically see here that Quant is looking pretty bearish, right? Like, we've just been forming this downtrending channel ever since we topped out at about $1.40 earlier this year. And really, it has just been a slow landslide ever since then. And if I actually even take a look here on a year-to-date basis and show you the chart, you're going to notice that we broke below the bull market support band here, attempted to break back above it, got rejected, broke down below a very important area of support at that 63.5 cent level, attempted to retest it here and got rejected, continuing to respect the downtrend. So regardless of the narrative, unfortunately, I do actually suspect that Polygon does have some more downside ahead. And the next price target I am personally keeping my eye on, where I may get interested in this project, sits down at 39 cents more or less. And from the current price here sitting at 52 cents, that's about another 24% decline. So that's what I'm waiting for when it does come to Polygon. Now, I do also want to actually highlight the Matic versus Bitcoin valuation, which also has showed a lot of structural weakness now, right? Kind of just hanging in here, really just dangling from a thread on support. And once again, the same way I am looking for Matic on its USD pair to come down to a strong area of support, it looks like the Matic to Bitcoin pair wants to do the same thing here. After, I mean, it was kind of like a triple top, but if you can also argue that it's actually seen a pretty big quadruple drop here, as all these weekly candles have actually wicked below this area of resistance up here. So it appears to me like the Matic versus Bitcoin valuation is somewhat of an oscillator, and I do think that we are nearing the bottom range of this oscillator that I'm seeing on the charts. So that is what I'm looking for when it comes to Matic. Now, when it comes to Quant here, this is one that I do also want to talk about, as we are below the important area of support at $100. The next important area sitting at 85 in my opinion. And if we take a look here at Quant's performance from last year, it actually was about a year ago today that Quant went on this monstrous run, okay? So we actually saw Quant bounce off 85 bucks there, and then it proceeded to rally about 170% up to 228. And then from there, Quant actually had not gone back down to 85 bucks since then. And it looks like it does in fact want to make its way back down to this level. So $85 is the first zone that I will be looking for when it comes to Quant. And if we break down below that, that is when I will be looking for the low $60 range. So on that note, I hope you did enjoy the content in today's video. You know what to do. If you made it all the way to the end, you are an absolute champion. Let me know in the YouTube comments down below and claim that champion status. I am wishing you all an amazing Sunday and I hope to catch you in the next one. Peace out for now.